MAGA voices spread falsehoods to link Minnesota shooter to Democrats. Thank God for Axios. Prominent MAGA figures, including the president's son, have amplified false rumors that the Minnesota shooting suspect was a Democrat in an effort to paint their political opponents as violent. The big picture. In the wake of shootings and other tragedies, social media often becomes fertile ground for misinformation and conspiracies. Now, fringe theories have found mouthpieces in the mainstream and among elected Republicans. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I I miss the days when there was fact checking on Facebook because there are so many things like all these AI stories that people believe about Elon Musk, helping deliver a poor woman's baby girl, or Donald Trump debates, Cambridge students and wins. And it's like, no. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, are these all like bot accounts? Do you people seriously believe this? And then as soon as this started sprinkling around, I'm like, oh no. I mean, I'm like, I knew it was a right where I'm like, he shot Democrats. Obviously, it's political motivation right there. But let's see. Alleged gunman Vance Bolter held conservative political views and was a strong supporter of President Trump, according to those who knew him. Strike one. A friend told CNN Bolter strongly opposed abortion, but let's see what opposed abortion, but never expressed any particular anger with the shooting victims. That's weird. Okay. The friend told CBS Bolter would be offended if people called him a Democrat. Well. Driving the news, the conspiracy theory was fueled by Bolter's appointment to a state workforce development board by former Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, and then reassigned by Governor Tim Walz, which is weird because from what I've heard, Tim Walz didn't even meet this guy. Like he didn't it's a nonpartisan workforce development board, so it's like any minor higher ups could have put him on the board. Police also allegedly found papers with the anti-Trump protest slogan "No Kings" in Bolter's car, prompting the Minnesota State Patrol to urge residents not to attend the demonstrations out of abundance of caution. Now, I have a theory for why. For either cops planted the "No Kings" protest, like they planted that evidence of the "No King" signs, or he was going to hand out signs to different people, and if people were holding up the signs, he was probably going to shoot them. I feel like my second theory probably holds some water. We'll find out eventually when we find more motives and stuff like that. Just hours after DFL leader Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed and State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were wounded, top MAGA voices used those revelations to inaccurately paint Bolter as a Democrat. Yeah. I mean, they think this is 1970s and left-wing terrorism is all the rage. I'm like, no, the left is too divided to really to do anything together. But except protesting. According to court filings, Bolter allegedly drew up lists of Minnesota public officials who were mostly or all Democrats and their addresses. Despite that, Donald Trump Jr. told News Nation the suspect seems to be a leftist and is a Democrat. News Nation, the land of misfit pundits, right? One of the tweets I saw was like, oh my God, Tim Walz hired this guy to shoot a Democratic rival. And I'm like, what? What? No, that's not what's happening here. People, stop believing this nonsense. Let's see what they're saying. Senator Mike Lee, not based, by the way, Republican of Utah, has repeatedly spread misinformation about Bolter, prompting outrage and calls for his resignation. Lee posted an FBI image of what the suspect wearing a face mask and posing as a police officer, Sunday with the caption, "This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way." Boy, did he get ripped through the... I was part of that, by the way. He ended up, I think, deleting that tweet. I mean, these Republicans say the most horrific things. At a time when we have to come together as a country, they don't do it. Yet in another post, he shared a photo of the suspect with the caption, "Nightmare on Walt Street." He shared his guess that the suspect is not MAGA. Another thing I think he took down. Yeah, another post he wrote, Marxism is a deadly mental illness, and shared on Twitter. Post a suspect Tim Wilson pointing with no King's flyers in his car. Did we not go over my theory? And I think I'm correct about why those signs were there. Lee's office did not immediately respond to access requests for comment. Context: a source in Walt's office told the Minnesota Star Tribune that Waltz did not know Bolter and stressed that the members on the workforce are not appointments to the governor's cabinet or office. Well, 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 what did I just say, y'all? The board has around 60 members per the Star Tribune, many of whom are not politically connected or would have meaningful access to the governor. The paper added there are more than 130 such boards, advisory councils, task force, and commissions. State of play, but online, prominent right-wing voices still try to tie Bolter to Waltz and smear Democrats as a whole as violent. Senator Bernie Marino, what the fuck? What type of name is that? You're not Bernie Sanders. Also sharing an image of papers with the words "No Kings" wrote Saturday. The degree to which the extreme left has become radical, violent, and intolerant is both stunning and terrifying. Hey, you're doing some projection right there, Bernie, not Sanders. Whereas office did not respond to Axios' request for comment. Elon Musk sharing a post who claimed the left was responsible for the Minnesota shootings and a string of other crimes, wrote the far left is murderously violent. How? Can anyone give me any examples within like the last 10 years? What I mean, besides the guy who shot oh god, what was his name? It was like a Bernie dude who was mentally ill. It was during that baseball game, and I was like, oh well, at least Bernie took responsibility and condemned it. But you guys can't even do that. Right-wing commentator Benny Johnson described, is he still getting funded by Russia? Bolter as Tim Walz's associate. Far-right activist Lauren Loomer claimed Walz was friends with the suspect and called for the governor to be detained by the FBI and interrogated. Zoom out. It's not uncommon for conspiracy theories to spread in an information vacuum. In the wake of mass shootings in Uvalde and Buffalo, unfounded rumors quickly took hold. Yeah, I hate it because we don't have fact-checking anymore. And after the deadly plane crash in Washington, D.C. earlier this year, social media users sought to falsely tie a transgender helicopter pilot to the tragedy. Bottom line, Joe Thompson, the acting U.S. attorney for Minnesota, said in a Monday press conference it would be way too speculative to say what motivated the alleged gunman in terms of ideology. Well, I mean, we kind of know, but yeah. I mean, we kind of already know, all that is about. Like, even though Jon Stewart's like, who cares about the motive? I'm like, to me, it does care because it goes to show time and time again how insane right wingers are. And I cannot, for the love of me, shout it any louder that something needs to be done about political violence in this country, but no one cares unless it's being done by someone who might be liberal, which usually never happens these days because, again, we're not in the 1970s and left wing terrorism is not really a thing because the left is so divided. We cannot come together unless we are united by one candidate that shares all of our political ideologies and whatnot. Like it's not like how it used to be. I feel like the conservative moral majority movement kind of just fractured the left. We couldn't really come, and Reagan just came out like not out of nowhere, but it felt like Democrats just abandoned the New Deal. And that's, like that's kind of like my thing. Yeah, we also had the known disclosed history. Yeah, colon to pro. Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah. It's interesting how the left just got so divided in this country. I hate it. Yeah, eco terrorists. Hey, you mean like Poison Ivy? She did what she had to do, okay? I don't it's so funny that they call Poison Ivy an eco terrorist. I'm like, are you sure about that? I mean, she wants to say I mean, the only good thing about Batman and Robin was that Mr. Freeze was trying to, help with climate change and Poison Ivy was trying to help like the environment, like plants and forests and stuff. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, nothing wrong with that. In my opinion, no matter how corny that movie is, they were the real heroes. Real heroes try to help. speaking of DC, did you guys know that there's gonna be a new Superman movie coming out that's gonna be great? I cannot wait. But we're at a time now where superhero movies we're like, are we getting the fatigue? Are we tired of them? Are they just not as good as they used to be? Like, what's going on? My opinion is that we need those blockbuster superhero movies because they end up drawing an audience to the movie theaters. Walkerman. So yeah, let's see what our new Lois Lane has to say about comic book movies. So, Superman star slams actors complaining about superhero movies after starring in them, and they're wrong. Superman star Rachel Brosnahan believes actors who star in superhero films shouldn't complain about the experience after the fact. In a conversation with Amanda Seyfried for Indie Magazine, the new Lois Lane actress discussed the similarities between her and her Superman co-star David Corenswet. This led to Seyfried pointing out a key reason why they both got along so well while making the movie. They were both excited to be part of something so substantial. Seyfried noted it's easy to tell when actors are passionate about their work in blockbusters. In response to that, Rachel shared her thoughts on actors who are critical of their superhero credits. Yeah, why do you think Robert Downey Jr. did Oppenheimer and now he's back as Doctor Doom? I hate that. I don't know why people keep saying yes only to then turn around and complain about it. She said, "Look, I don't want to shit on other actors, but there was a minute where it was cool to not like superhero movies and to look back on projects like this and poo-poo them. Do it or don't do it, and then stand by it." Except for George Clooney and Batman and Robin, right? Yeah? Okay. While she wisely doesn't name any names, in the past, there have been several actors who discussed their complex relationship with the studio tentpoles. Elizabeth Olsen, who played Wanda Maximoff in the MCU, has said Marvel movies are not really the art that I consume. I mean, I don't blame her for how they treated Wanda. We're getting a Scarlet Witch movie. She's not dead. Okay, whatever. After another prominent MCU figure, Scarlett Johansson, has said that at times she's felt more like a plot device than a well-rounded character for some of her Black Widow performances. And there's some truth to that because we do live in a post-Me Too era where Yelena, her adopted sister, has more of a complex, is more of a well-rounded character than other females like Black Widow. Female characters now, and I think maybe Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn might have something to do with that because of movies like Birds of Prey and The Suicide Squad, because she's a character that has development, agency, she does what she wants, she's a lot smarter than people give her credit for. So I think, Margot Robbie having control over Harley Quinn's characterization is probably what is making more people realize, like, yeah, we can write female characters as something more than just, plot devices and supporting roles. Rachel is set to make her superhero movie debut in this summer's Superman, the first theatrical release in the DC Universe franchise. It's unknown when her Lois Lane could pop up next, though Superman director James Gunn has hinted that he's developing some sort of follow-up that isn't necessarily a direct, straightforward sequel. It's easy to see where she's coming from. Her point is actors should be proud of all their roles, whether it's an Oscar-nominated indie film or a big studio blockbuster, and not look down upon them. At the same time, there is some nuance when it comes to actors and their mixed feelings about superhero films. Johansson and Olsen have both said they're proud of their Marvel work, but there likely are aspects they wish played out differently. There are instances where comic book adaptations can be more plot-driven than character-driven. Meaning there might not be as much to explore from an acting perspective. These productions could also be grueling and time-consuming, potentially limiting an actor's opportunities to pursue other creative endeavors. In some way, Johansson and Olsen provide well-rounded perspectives on the blockbuster experience, outlining the pros and cons of being involved with something so massive. So she's at the start of her DC journey, so she's coming at this with an entirely different perspective. Being a Superman is something that's very fresh and exciting for her, and it's great to hear she loved her time making the film. It'll be interesting to see how or if her viewpoint changes over the course of her Lois Lane tenure. Stranger Things star David Harbour once felt he'd never get tired of being on the show, but after 10 years, he's ready to move on. Yeah, Red Guardian. Yes. Wait, what that? No, Red Guardian. No, that's not a Russian accent. I suck. I think that first one I did was Irish. Anyway, maybe she will maintain the same level of enthusiasm regardless of how many DC projects she stars in, but this is a topic that can be viewed through shades of gray. It's possible to have a fondness and appreciation for blockbuster work while also acknowledging some of the finer details that can dampen the experience. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's great. I'm happy. I'm so glad that we're actually getting a Superman that is like Superman.